keep the conversation going is really what I'm getting at. So being really active, I have all my clients spend at least 3 hours on social media every day.
Welcome back to For Entrepreneurs by Entrepreneurs. I am Eric Verdi. With us this week is Brad Axelrad. Awesome guy. I just met him about 15 minutes ago in our pre-interview. So as you know, MK, my podcast producer, has been going out and finding the best of the best of the best. And we've got Brad on today to talk specifically about Facebook, but in a larger genre, kind of marketing, media, consulting. But I really want to dig into Facebook with Brad. I know that's a little quick intro, Brad. Brad's on the left coast. He's in California. I'm on the East Coast, so we're doing this to mesh up our times. Brad, before we dive deep into what you do, give us your backstory, man.
Oh, geez, where to begin with that? I mean, the most relevant thing, kind of loving being around personal development and transformation. 20 years ago, I went to a Tony Robbins event, and that changed my life. It was the year 2000. I'm like, what is going on here? This is exciting. So that sort of led me down the path of wanting to find more things like it. And I ended up at the Hoffman Institute, which is my favorite transformational work on the planet, in 2003. And I loved the work so much, I became the Orange County graduate facilitator for 2 years. And I realized then that I liked facilitating and bringing people together to help them understand themselves, understand their business objectives. And that led into producing events. We attracted NBC Nightly News, PBS Television, USC News, LA Times, Orange County Register, learned marketing, media, and event production sort of on the fast track. And in interviews like this, being interviewed on national television, that's sort of the short answer.
Awesome. So how long have you been an entrepreneur?
Since I was 19, I'm 47.
Okay.
I've had a couple.
Your entire adult life.
Yeah, college wasn't for me. I knew it wasn't applicable. School didn't feel applicable. I've been studying applicable systems and methodologies and rapid acceleration for transformation for, since pretty much 2000.
Okay. So who are some of the titans of the industry that you mentioned Tony Robbins, who obviously everybody listening to this is going to know. Who are some of the people that you've kind of modeled after or gravitated to, or maybe are mentors in a way?
Well, I mean, I've gotten many. I've been blessed to have been invited in to be the founding member of the Association of Transformational Leaders, Southern California, 10 years ago. So in that community, and even before that, a lot of these friends, these people are friends. One that comes to mind is Gay Hendricks, The Big Leap. I recommend everybody read that book if you're a business owner. If you're breathing and have a heartbeat, that book is going to help you in all aspects of life. It's really about how you sabotage yourself in a way. You hit this upper limit he talks about, and if you're not playing in your zone of genius, you're essentially going to create some sort of sabotaging experience in your life. So Gay Hendricks is a really big one. Of course, Tony Robbins, like I said. Don Miguel Ruiz from the Four Agreements was guest number 1 on my Face Your Dragon podcast. He's obviously the blockbuster author of many books, but everyone knows the Four Agreements. Others in marketing, Russell Brunson, I spent the last 3 or 4 years diving deep into Russell. Huge fan of Russell on that side when it comes to marketing and funnels. Also Maurice Smith when it comes to social media and Facebook stuff. She's a Jedi. That's just a few that come to mind.
Awesome. So let's dig into Facebook.
Okay.
Like, how did you become an expert, very, very proficient? How did that lead into your superpower for Facebook?
Yeah, I'm cautious to use the word expert. I'm pretty good in it. Let's just say that. I think what happened for me was sort of being thrusted into event production and getting butts in seats, which is really difficult. Obviously, it's impossible now. We're not filling events, right? But after having produced over 200 live events with some of the biggest thought and business leaders on the planet, I realized that, wow, the key is to get butts in seats. And I had a friend invite me to Facebook. I thought, wow, this is really good. I'm on MySpace. What is this Facebook thing? So I registered, and I realized you could sort of geo-target and get people really to your events through Facebook. And that got me just deep into Facebook, realizing, wow, this is a platform that can really create a lot of exposure for free. And I don't want to say I coined the term, but I've been using conversational marketing for a very long time, long before I've heard anyone say that. And I really believe that there's great power in being very active and being in the conversation in the social spheres there. How can we add value to people? Comment, respond to comments. It was one of the first tips I got. If somebody messages or comments on your thread, you've got to reply. Keep the conversation going is really what I'm getting at. So being really active, I have all my clients spend at least 3 hours on social media every day, making sure they're in conversations, adding value, not just posting and spamming, saying, buy my stuff, buy this, look at me. It's more in there just having conversations, adding value, adding perspective, being confrontational in a positive way, challenging the norms. You see a lot of people challenging a lot of that right now with the COVID world we're in. A little bit on too much leaning on the conspiracy theory for me. However, the point is that when you create something that can be disruptive in a conversation, that's going to garner and attract attention. So, using it's the best free tool I've ever seen. I mean, what are we over 1 billion users on Facebook now? I mean, there's just a lot of opportunity there.
Yep. What was it? Dan Kennedy said, if you haven't pissed off half your audience by noon, you're not doing the right thing.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So have the courage to piss some people off, and the need to be liked is a big one. A lot of us have. You got to get over that if you want to be successful or attract media or whatever. You've got to get out and embarrass yourself and suck half the time, frankly.
And that's exactly right. I mean, you have to, and you're not going to be good the first time. You got to suck first. Like everything that you do, or everything that I do. I don't know about you. You sound like an expert in many, many genres, but everything that you do, that first time, you're going to really suck. And how do you grow from that? And same thing like with Facebook marketing. It's something that I've kind of done on the peripheral that I haven't dove into. I've got a company that helps me out, but it's not something that I'm good at. So when you're not good at something, you either need to dig deep, like you said you have with ClickFunnels and Russell Brunson, or find somebody that does. Right?
Agreed. I tend to like to do a mixture of both. And the reason I say that is I want to become an expert as best I can so that when I hire somebody, first of all, it lowers their fees and you can hold them accountable to what they're proposing as the best solution for you, right? So if you're just like, well, hand it over, I know nothing about it. Like I see so many people that'll say, I don't know computers or I don't know marketing. I'm like, that's going to be expensive. You might want to spend a little time understanding what the heck a website is, how social media works, like get a basic understanding or you're going to pay out the nose. So studying like crazy, guys. I tend to listen to things over and over and over. For example, I mentioned Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements, and Gay Hendricks. I've listened to and or read both of those books probably 40 to 50 times in total. Repetition is key. Audiobooks, just pounding this stuff. I would study probably 30, 40 webinars from Russell. I listened to his books multiple times, just diving deep. Just get it embedded in your subconscious. If you're anything like me, if you're an entrepreneur, which I'm guessing you are, if you're watching this, you've got a thick head. You're a little stubborn and you think you know it all. So repetition is best to just keep pounding that conscious mind so it gets into your subconscious so that you can really integrate what you're hearing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, you need to. I'm kind of like you. I'm great at like researching and getting like 80% and getting it very well, getting it good. It's that extra 20%. Like, man, let me go find the expert. That in a way, the right questions to ask, the right direction you want to go, and
exactly.
You've already done it. Like I just got done. I'm sure, like maybe you, maybe not you, but watch the Michael Jordan, The Last Dance documentary.
No,
you didn't watch that. So obviously you know who Michael Jordan is. One of the things that he said in there was, I would never ask my teammates to do something that I didn't do or wouldn't.
That's right.
And that's, he was kind of an asshole, but he was the leader. But he would not, he would hold his team at such a high standard, hold his teammates to such a high standard, but it's something that he did daily.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't ask them to go do X, Y, and Z because he had already done X, Y, and Z. He just wanted them to pull their weight. And that's, I find so many correlations between sports and life. And it's in business, it's phenomenal. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. It's a really good framework. If there are any golfers, I was a motocross racer and an extreme sports guy. I tended to lean more towards that direction. And you're exactly right. I'd be sitting on the motocross starting straight, nervous as hell. There'd be 39 other semi-professionals next to me, hungry for blood. And I was one of the more aggressive people out there. But to your point, the correlation to sports is really important. And I speak a lot about fear and how to overcome fear and how to leverage fear into your work. And we were talking about that earlier with Facebook Lives. I was mortified the first Facebook Live I did. Nervous as heck interviewing Don Miguel Ruiz for podcast #1. It's one of the biggest names in the world, and he's my first guest. Like, that creates an intensity. But the cool thing is when we know ourselves and know business pretty well, we can start to channel that energy into our focus and use it to focus us and really and use it as fuel, right? Turn your fear into fuel. So my brand is Face Your Dragon, faceyourdragon.com, which is about essentially that there are 5 main dragons or fears that stop you from building the business you want. So we can talk about those if you want. I think that would be
I'd love to.
Well,
yeah, go ahead. Fear to fuel. I love that. I'm going to use that.
Transform it, man. It's not about excuse me, slaying your dragon. It's about facing it. And it's what I say, it's about finding, facing, and riding your dragon. It's finding the fear, facing it, having the courage to admit you're afraid to do something, and then using it. There's so much power there. So let me just real quickly go into the 5. I think this will be useful for everybody. So Imposter, Scarcity, Value, Unheard, and Critics. So imposter is that you'll be found out as an imposter or fraud. So we don't start that Facebook Live because we're mortified to do it, or start that Facebook group, which, mind you, I have a 14,000 person Facebook group I've created. We can talk about that later. That's thriving, like it's just on fire. So we don't do things because who am I to start this? Everyone's going to see me as a fraud. I had that experience when I was on NBC Nightly News. I'm like, man, I can't believe they're coming to me as an expert. Like I said earlier, I stay away from expert. Like, I'm not a freaking expert right now. I'm just getting my legs underneath me. But anyway, so facing that imposter or fraud dragon. Do you want me to pause or keep going into these?
Keep going. I'm taking notes as we go.
Cool. So the second one is scarcity. That when you put yourself out there, people won't want what you're offering. So that looks like this. You build your entire platform. You build a marketing funnel. You create all these Facebook Lives. You're doing all these things, but you're not getting anyone to yes because you're either something's off. But more than anything, it's the fear before that. Why even create it? Because no one's going to buy it anyway. So then we just don't build something, right? Because we're afraid no one's going to buy it. Okay. How long is our interview today? I forgot. We're already 20 minutes in here.
We're about 35 minutes total.
Oh, we've got time. Okay, cool. I'm going kind of quickly here. So the third one is value, that you'll never have the courage to charge what you know you're worth. So what that looks like is this. You get on a conversation with a consulting client. I work a prospect. So I work with people for 90 days and, work on a retainer or a full pay up front. And the way that works is in the early days, I'd get on this call. I'd have a 40-minute to an hour complimentary session. We're going through all this long process of adding tons of value. And then I would ask for the sale. And you guys have probably been in this freaking conversation before yourselves. And you get nervous. Your first thought is they don't have the money, or I'm too afraid to ask for what I think I'm worth. So let me immediately lower my fees. So it's normally $6,000. How about $2,000 a day? And they go, that's great. Gosh, I thought you were going to be 5 times that. So instantly you just chopped your potential income or revenue by 1/3 because you were too afraid to ask for what you know you're worth. All right, that's the third one. The fourth one is unheard. So that your tribe won't get you or understand the difference you can make for them. So what that dragon looks like is, again, you craft this entire message. You're out there sharing it. I mean, even I had that experience with Face Your Dragon. I'm like, are people going to freaking think I'm like Dungeons and Dragons or, Dumbledore, or like where are they going to, how is this going to land in the marketplace? So I was afraid to sort of position myself as this consultant, expert, event producer. And I want to share more about what I'm doing as well. It's pretty exciting. I think you guys will like this. but I was afraid to get my message out there because people wouldn't get what the heck I was talking about. They're like, even right now I'm a tad nervous. I'm more excited, right? The founder of Gestalt Therapy, I'm bouncing a little all over the place, but the founder of Gestalt Therapy says, fear is excitement without the breath. So I'm more excited than I am afraid, even though they're really similar. But right now, this excitement is fueling me. Just like when I was on the starting straight for the motocross line, there's all this excitement. I get to use it to share these 5 dragons I've came up with. So again, that was Unheard. Your tribe won't get you or understand the difference you can make for them. The last one is critics. I'm sure you guys have experienced this when you're out there creating content. And that looks like that if you do achieve the dream, you'll be criticized or your personal life will suffer. So that's sort of 2 dragons in one. The first is this, that you create content, you're pumping out tons of killer content, you're getting all these negative comments on your YouTube channel or your Facebook Lives or whatever it is, or your family's commenting or talking about you, so you're afraid to get criticized. And then there's also the other side of it, which is sort of the fear of success. That you're going to become so successful in the world that your family won't like you. And Gay Hendricks talks quite a bit about this through a different lens, but that you'll outshine. This is Gay Hendricks' language from The Big Leap. I, again, highly recommend you read it. That you're afraid to outshine your siblings or your family in some way. So you become really successful. You start to get criticized. Your personal life will suffer by way of, like we talked about, not outsourcing some of your work, having control issues, thinking you need to do it all yourself, instead of outsourcing, delegating, building team, building systems. You're just in the grind instead of figuring out a leveraged, scalable model for your business and your time. So that's kind of a nutshell on these 5. If you want to ask questions, we can go into them more.
So yeah, I mean, I've heard various derivatives of not called the 5 dragons, obviously, but levels of success, levels of what's holding you back. Yes, the imposter syndrome is huge. Yep. And people holding back value and or not valuing their time or service. Yeah, I mean, these all, I mean, like we talked about, I dive into all this stuff too. So I'm familiar with the language that you're using.
Cool.
Many of our listeners might not be. So what's the website to your book?
FaceYourDragon.com. That's where the Face Your Dragon podcast lives as well.
Okay. So let's go back to Facebook. Okay.
You bet.
So I had Tristan Armada, Lab Code Agents, on my podcast. He's got a huge private group of 120,000 members, which I thought was awesome. So I've since started another smaller group, just kind of for people in this atmosphere, in this arena. So tell me about your group. Like, give a business owner, an entrepreneur, starting out today. They've got a month. Give me what the first week looks like. What the first month looks like to get on Facebook, start running ads, start creating content. Like, give us that structure.
That's awesome. So tell me what they're selling. Are they a thought leader, a messenger of sorts, or who is this person?
Let's call them just a business person, a solopreneur. They have maybe they. All right, let's just go down the scenario. Maybe they are.
Like, are they selling a widget, or are they a coach? Are they an event producer? Like, what are they doing?
Let's say they are selling their wares. Maybe they are a hairstylist. Okay.
Hairstylist. Okay.
Maybe they are somebody that people are going to gravitate to for that person. Like, wouldn't be a restaurant. They're not selling a widget, but somebody that needs to get their brand, their business out there.
It's a really good question. Yeah. Let's actually drill down even some more and say that this is someone that needs to reactivate their clientele, and or they're a new business that started or just started right before COVID hit. And let's use a hairstylist, for example, right? Let's say that it's opening up right now and she needs to get things going again. And she's lost 90% of her clientele. She may have 10% returning, but she needs to go out and fill that other 90%. Does that sound good?
That's perfect.
Cool. So, great question. I've got to think for a second, but one thing that comes to mind, I mean, Facebook, of course, is a great tool. I think in today's climate and this new world that we live in, this new economy, that I think we're going to need to go back to basics. So let's start with basics. And basics, of course, a website, of course, a social media page, a profile, branding using Canva and software like that, leveraging Fiverr and Upwork to find team members, depending upon budget, of course. But I think the first week, we can go week to week. So the first week, I think, would be a matter of positioning. It's offering. It's what's your offer. What's the differentiator in the marketplace? What makes her unique? And then pulling out the Amway or network marketing model of putting a list of all the potential clients together, a list of all your potential referral partners. So who might that be that for a hairstylist? It could be a nail salon. It could be a massage person, an acupuncturist, anything like that. A women's groups, getting on meetup.com. It's sourcing all of the places where you can do guerrilla marketing and sort of boots on the ground marketing. I don't even know if I'd put a website up for her, frankly. If she's a hairstylist, I would just go straight into pounding the pavement, making the calls, putting lists together, creating flyers, creating a brand, creating a no-brainer offer that's just so obvious that someone's going to say yes to it, that it's like a haircut for $20. I mean, right now I think people need to just get really active. I think people need to work 12 hours a day within reason when we can open things up and cut their fees substantially for some. I don't think all need to do, everyone needs to do that. Ironically, it goes against the dragon, although we are in a different climate. And I would just start pounding Meetup. I would pound other Facebook groups. I would get, again, really active in other Facebook group, find other pages you can like, start creating content around what you're doing, create a buzz, maybe even attract some media. I think that would be another really big thing. Triangulating with some sort of higher purpose or a cause right now, that you are media worthy, you're news worthy, right? So free publicity is an incredible way to get out to millions. When I was interviewed on PBS TV, that went out to 4 million people twice. NBC Nightly News went out to, I have no idea how many millions on NBC Nightly News. That's nationwide. That's not a local station. So figure out a way to drop a press release that would be similar to, or that would be relevant to today's climate, and triangulate with some sort of higher purpose. So it could be haircuts to the homeless, or haircuts to people who are struggling that need to find a job in this COVID economy. And I would do some content around that. I would interview people who are doing good work in the world. I would become a content creator, position yourself as that person, but ultimately your offer is haircuts or hair coloring or whatever it is. I could go on, but let me pause there. I feel like I've talked a lot.
No, I love it. So yeah, I mean, you've got to, number one, you've got to get your brand or your message out there. Number two, you don't want to just ask for the sale up front unless you are doing a great offer. And something that I've kind of learned and come about is if that hairstylist was smart, she would have already collected all of the contact information, emails from past clients. That is what I've kind of, I'm learning. I've really kind of honed this in the last month and kind of done some more research on it. Is Facebook, they can change their algorithm. You know, other places, if they control the data and the data goes away, you're screwed. When you have your clients and you have their email or their cell phone, like you've got access to them. That's the number one. You know, Tim Ferriss says my network is my net worth. You know, if you're a big Russell Brunson fan, he says every person on your list in your database that gets your content should equate to $1 a month, right? So you need to own the data too.
It's a really good point. You know, back when I was producing events and had a thriving, I had the third largest meetup group. It's been 10 years for our events in that particular niche. And I was trying to make sure I would extract from those thousands of people on Meetup. I had to make sure I'd get them into a database. And this is kind of before squeeze pages a little bit. The internet marketing has really started back in, I mean, I'm talking 98, 99. It was a little early for a lot of that, but you're right. How do you get the data? And then the other side of that is how do you reactivate the data? So the reactivation campaign for that, what did I say, 10 or 20% of that 100% of past people, how do you reactivate them? That's really important. I've got a dear friend of mine who is working with I don't want to say what business it is, but he's, they're pay for monthly subscriptions for exercise places, and he's creating reactivation campaigns for them, and because they're about to open up, right? They're about to open their doors, and he's saying you can go get new customers, but reactivating them, like you're suggesting, warming up that list, warming up and reactivating, that's big.
I love it. I love it. So tell me about what you're doing now. What's your Facebook group? How did you grow it to 14,000?
Yeah.
Is that where you're most active?
Okay, so back to sort of catching a wave when it's coming in, and that wave looks like I was frustrated starting to play some Facebook ads for my business, I don't know, 6 years ago. I guess I've been studying Russell 6 years now, but I was really frustrated. I was like, man, I just I don't want to keep paying these guys thousands of dollars, and they suck at placing Facebook ads. I've had horrible luck. So what I wanted to do was add value in the marketplace and put a mastermind together for free. I said, hey guys, this is in the ClickFunnels group. I said, I'm really frustrated. I want to create a mastermind. Who wants to get on the phone and do a weekly Zoom to discuss our funnels, to go through what we're doing and discuss how we're going to drive traffic and what traffic, and like between 5 or 10 of us, I think we can put our ignorant heads together and create one relatively decently smart solution to this problem. And I had such a big response. I thought, wow, I need to figure out how to catch all this windfall of people saying in, like, yes, yes. I had so many yeses, right? And this is way when ClickFunnels was just getting started. I was one of the early adopters. And so I moved it into a Facebook group. It's called the ClickFunnels and Facebook Ads Mastermind. So those two things, and I just outlined this fun thing. I'm living in Costa Rica. I'm writing this. I just built a quiz. It's couragequiz.com. It helps coaches and consultants discover the #1 hidden fear stopping them from earning what they're worth. Take the 1-minute quiz below. And I said, I want to drive Facebook ad traffic to this, and I need to know what the best way to go is, because I'm so frustrated spending money on all these guys that suck. And so that's just been catching a lot of traffic and a lot of action. So I'm actually using this approach. I haven't gone in there and even mined it yet. I'm letting the thing sort of grow organically. I'm monitoring it, and I'm watching what people are getting lots of traffic in it. And a lot of them are offering free courses. Come get this. They're trying to mine data from it. So I'm mindful to kick some of those folks that get a little bit obnoxious going in there. Hey, comment if you want my whatever, right? There's a lot of that happening.
Right.
Which is obnoxious to me. It's a little bit icky. It's kind of spammy. But anyway, so we get in there. We're adding value. I'm seeing all these people from around the world, of these 14,000 people, adding their ideas on how they're getting better conversions and how they're using different software and how they're positioning themselves differently. It's been really fun to watch. But I'm about to, in the next couple months, start really getting in there and creating invaluable content and challenges and things to really access the group.
I love it. I love it. So how would listeners, viewers find you, research you, learn more about you if they needed? So obviously you help companies, right? You help smaller businesses. Like number one, who's your ideal client? And then how would listeners, viewers find out more about you?
Yeah, well, having been a coach and consultant and event producer for, since about 95, I've got a lot of experience and connections and understanding on how to position yourself in the marketplace as a coach, consultant, podcast host, speaker, event producer. That's my ideal client or customer. However, I work with a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs. I've had a stem cell client in Newport Beach, for example, a couple months ago, helping them get positioned and attract more clients organically and with paid traffic as well. But mostly coaches, consultants, event producers. That's really my sweet spot. I love working with messengers. Mm-hmm. That warms my heart because they want to get out and share something that's on their chest so bad. They're like, man, I just got to get this off my chest, and it's time. And they step into their voice, but they're afraid. Like, who am I to share this? And then I, come up with. I've got all these systems and templates to help them maximize the speed at which they can get to market and charge 2 or 3 times what they normally would. But I want to share this real quickly if I can. Mm-hmm. We were just starting to produce monthly biohacking and regenerative medicine and anti-aging events in Irvine, and then COVID hit. We were on our 6th one. We were actually creating these to sell them as licenses around the world. So that's at wakeupocevent.com. but you can see a lot about me there. I just wanted to plug that in because it's really cool. We're going to have 100 centers around the world with the intention of having an annual event like Dave Asprey in Los Angeles once a year, all on the best of regenerative medicine, longevity, nutraceuticals, electroceuticals, things like that. But you can sign up. Yeah.
Wake Up OC event.
WakeUpOCEvent.com.
Awesome. Awesome.
But I'm at faceyourdragon.com, and you can find the courage quiz on there as well. So WakeUpOCEvent.com and faceyourdragon.com. Those are my two sort of flagship brands.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Brad, thank you for joining us today, man. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Right on. Thanks for having me. It's been awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Listeners, viewers, I hope you enjoyed episode 13. Brad Axelrad. As you've heard, he's a little bit marketing guru, Facebook guru. He does a wide variety. Awesome interview. Episode 13 for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs, and we are out.